Thank you all for joining me on another full throttle Thursday. I appreciate y'all being with me. Last week we were a little shorthanded there because a lot of folks were not feeling good. So I'm glad to have everybody back, and I'm glad to know that everybody's feeling much better. We're going to discuss a lot of different things tonight, but I want to start with what was just breaking. You may have heard back on January 26th, there was a shooting in Indiana. And the shooting was of Matthew Tuttle, who was a former January 6er. And there's been a lot of controversy on the shooting in and of itself. And what really is interesting is that now that the body cam footage has been released, in a lot of ways, it does kind of show perhaps that the police officer acted pretty aggressively. The video, which of course you obviously can't see right now, of course the panel that are going to discuss it has, but just to let you know, you see a normal traffic stop and it's on a kind of a remote road, and you see an officer, but you can't see the officer. There's like a big, like almost looks like a shield, but it's just blocked out. But you can see the gentleman who eventually is killed. They're having a discussion. The sad part is that there's no audio in the video body cam footage that has been released. And so you don't really know what they're saying unless perhaps maybe you're a lip reader, which of course I am not. And you don't know what the discussion is, but out of nowhere, towards the end, it's only a minute and 40 seconds, the young man turns to his vehicle and runs into his vehicle. And the police officer runs after him. And you don't know what happens inside, so we don't honestly know if there was perhaps maybe he was reaching for a gun. We just don't know. But it does seem a little bit on the excessive side, at least from what we can see. The officer opens fire on the individual inside of the vehicle, and then it kind of ends. But according to the reports, reports on the shooting itself, the details are pretty incredible. There was one shot to the back that hit his heart and ruptured his aorta, another shot to the back of his neck, which went into his brain, one shot to the back of his left shoulder, one shot to the left thumb, which they say appears to be a defensive wound. I'm not really sure about that. And then one shot fired from the sheriff's gun also that missed him. So it looks like he was hit 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 shots total. So, Jeff, we're going to start with you. You obviously have seen the video, as everyone else has. What do you make of it? What do you think? Do you think that the officer acted inappropriately and with excessive force, or is there more to this story?
It obviously it's difficult without the audio, but one interesting thing, I'll just keep rewinding it to just before Matthew ran. The policeman looked as though he was reaching to open up the back door or pointed his registration tag on his number plate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there might have been something in the, either he's saying, look, the car's not registered, or um, or he's maybe attempting to open up the back door. He doesn't seem to be reaching for his gun at that stage. It is hard to tell.
Yeah. And obviously
It
we
might have
can't
been.
see directly into the car, which
Mm,
is unfortunate. Okay,
yeah.
so Gail, you're next, and then we're going to get to Glenn after that. So, Gail, you had a chance to watch the video. What is your reaction from it?
I I can't figure out. I mean, it looks like the J6er was cooperating with him. I don't know what they were looking for in there. I don't even know what that plate was at all. And then he goes and shoots him. I don't understand that. I can't make heads or tails out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It didn't look as though the January 6er Matthew Tuttle was taking an aggressive stance or yelling or anything like that. So yeah, it is definitely kind of strange. Glenn, what are your thoughts here? That you said that this happened about 30 to 35 miles from your house?
Yes. And the articles that I've read today from the state police, the Indiana State Police, that said that he had justifiable reasons to shoot him, as he was going for a 9mm gun that was inside of the car. There were bullets on the floorboard. And when he took off running for the car, now this is what they said, he told the cop that he was going to kill himself.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
he,
this could have been a situation. Well, then if that was the case, why would the cop have shot him? Why would he help him along?
well, if you were an officer and somebody, they have a gun and they said that they're going to kill themselves, does that mean before you or what?
Right. Murder by yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
gun, so you're going to
Murder,
okay.
suicide. Right, exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point. Carl, you're gonna be up next now. So what are your thoughts, Carl, here? You had a chance to see the video as well. Glenn has obviously gotten some information that I didn't even have. The police said that Matthew Tuttle threatened to kill himself, but looking at the way that the whole thing transpired, I mean, 4 out of 5 shots hit this young man in his own vehicle. What are your thoughts? Go ahead, Carl. I gave you plenty of time to unmute.
Yeah, I'm watching it several times to figure out what the F is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it
Well,
looks like,
do you have any thoughts on it?
well, if I had more information, I might, but all I could see was the guy going to this car, and then I saw somebody else follow him, looking in the back window. So I don't know if he was trying to keep
Yeah.
getting his gun, or thought he was gonna the cop probably, or the sheriff probably thought he was gonna shoot him also, and then shoot the guy was gonna shoot him.
Yeah. And we
himself.
don't know if there was anyone else in the vehicle either.
Yeah.
Pam, you're going to be up here in just a second. And so we don't know what was going on in the vehicle. Did he reach for the gun and try to shoot himself, or was he aiming it at the officer? Look, I'm not here to condemn a police officer.
Right.
I want to see if they can get to the bottom of it as well.
The article did say he was alone in the vehicle.
He was alone in the vehicle. Okay. Pam, what are your thoughts here? You had a chance to watch it as well. And what was your reaction to it?
Well, my daughter's here and she has a better video actually, and it's the actual cop's body cam with sound. So I'll link it, to the program later. And so I didn't get to watch it. It's 10 minutes long, but she said that he was driving without a license and the cop had stopped him several times. And the cop said, I've stopped you. Do you want to go home, Heather? Oh, yeah. She can explain it. I'll bring it here. This is Heather.
Hello, Heather.
Yeah,
Give us some more insight.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's a 10-minute video, but the part that really matters is when he takes him out of the car, I guess he had a prior history of driving without a license, and he was driving without a license in this case. Now, the reason he was there driving without a license, and this is what they do with the J6ers, they make it nearly impossible to do things because he wanted to get a license so he could do the things he needed to do in the state where he was on probation, but he needed a license. But to say you have to get a license in this state. And so he had to go to another state. He doesn't really have any, all his friends and family, his mom's passed. So he doesn't have a support system. So he was driving without a license. And I guess he had done it multiple times in the past. So the cop was going to arrest him for a felony, because of a felony. And he said, can you please, I don't want to go back. Can you please drive me? And he said, if this was just a misdemeanor, I could work with you. Unfortunately, this is a felony and I have to take you in. And he ran to the car, sadly, and you can't see it, but my sister and I listened to it, and we've spoken to other people. He said, I'm going to kill myself. and
Traumatic
it
stress.
sounds, and then the cop shot him a few times, yes. And so I think that's why you can't see it, because they don't want people to see him pulling a gun to his head. But he says, I'm gonna kill myself. And the cop says no, but then the cop shoots him. I don't know why the cop didn't taser him, but I don't want to be a Johnny come lately about that.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, obviously things happen probably, in a pretty, split second there.
It's a
Um,
felony to drive without a license?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, look what they did to these poor people. I mean,
I
he was
know.
incarcerated for
Post-traumatic
years.
stress.
He was beaten. He was probably abused. And, they made it hard for him to re-enter society. And he was like, oh my goodness, now I got a police officer after me. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he just panicked. I mean, who knows? We
Post-traumatic
really don't
stress.
know. Walter, you're going to be up here in just a second, and then Jason. But I mean, I'd like to see that other video. So Pam, if you could actually send that over to me, because I'd like to see that video. But Walter, what are your thoughts here? Obviously, you only saw the video, I would assume, that I saw. I didn't get a chance to see the 10-minute video with the sound. Obviously, I would love to have seen that because I would have had a deeper and different perspective here. But from what you have seen, what are your thoughts on it?
Totally bad shoot.
Totally
Because
bad.
shoot. Once Huddle gets in his vehicle and grabs a firearm, the police officer feels that his life is in danger, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
Now, his first reaction, knowing that the guy said, I'm going to kill myself, his first reaction should have been to withdraw and seek cover near his vehicle and radio for assistance. Why would you pull your own gun and shoot and kill someone who said they are going to kill themselves?
That's what I said earlier.
When you have a clear opportunity to withdraw.
Yeah.
Totally
Exactly.
bad shoot. Totally bad.
Totally bad. Okay, gotcha. Jason, so he makes a good point. I said the same thing. If someone says they're going to kill themselves, why would you then shoot them?
Yeah.
And I understand what Walter's saying, because Walter is saying, well, back up away from the situation, get into a position where you're safe and try to talk him out of it. But if you hear that gun go off, is that really your fault? I don't think so. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Jay?
Well, I would say based on even what Walter just said, and I would say also that why wouldn't you just shoot him in the leg or somewhere else to disable him so he can't do that instead of firing 4 shots or how many shots he did to kill him? I mean, why, if
Right.
you're a cop, why wouldn't you, and you practice, shooting, obviously, why wouldn't you just shoot him to disable him? Whether it's shoot him in the leg or something else. Why all that? And then,
Yeah, I agree with you.
and then get cover, but if you want to protect your own life, because you don't know what this guy's going to do with the gun too, if he has the gun. So I would try to disable him
Yeah, and Little Mystery, you're up here.
before he even gets in the car.
You're up next, but I just want to make this point before I get to you. They said that out of the 5 shots, the 4 that hit him, one of the shots they said hit the left thumb, which looked like it was a defensive wound. So you might be correct that maybe there was a situation where the officer tried to shoot the gun out of his hand so that he couldn't kill himself, and maybe it was just a bad shot. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a
Well,
crazy situation.
wasn't he going to the car to get the gun?
Well, he runs away really, really quickly, and he goes towards his car, and then you don't really know what happens. But again, apparently there's another video that we didn't know, and we didn't get a chance to see, so we kind of have to see that one as well. But just based on what we know,
Isn't
it
4
definitely
shots an
seems
overkill? No, 4 shots. I mean,
excessive force. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it seems like. Little Mystery, we didn't get a chance to have you watch the video. Maybe you did. Did you see this video? Do you know what we're talking about at all?
I know what you're talking about, but unfortunately I didn't get to see the video. But
Okay.
from the
Okay.
start, my mind just goes to automatically that they had planned to kill him all along. I mean, just because it's terrible how the J6 prisoners are still being treated in some cases, like the ones who were thrown out of CPAC. And the fact that the officer did shoot him in the thumb, that would be enough to disable him. I just really feel like they had it in from him for him from the start.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense from what we can see. I mean, they're having a discussion. The J6er Matthew Tuttle does not look distressed. He's not yelling. He's not pushing back at the officer. He doesn't have an aggressive stance or anything. And you really can't see the officer. People are saying there's a shield in front of him. It's not. It's just a big rectangle thing that's blocking the officer out of the equation. But they're talking, and again, there's no sound in the video from what we have seen. Apparently, there is another one that does have sound. And what's happening is all of a sudden, out of nowhere, towards the end of the video, he just turns around, he runs into his car, and then the officer chases him into the car, pulls his gun out, and fires 5 shots at point blank range. One of them hitting and rupturing his aorta, another one hitting his neck and being lodged in his brain, one hitting his left shoulder, and one hitting his left thumb, which they're saying might have been a defensive wound, and the other shot missed him completely. So from what I can see from the video that I see, it looks like this was excessive force. But here's the difference between us and the left. Are we going to go out and riot? Are we going to go out and blow up police stations and burn down police cruisers and throw Molotov cocktails inside of, police cars? No, of course not, because we're not animals like the other side. But I definitely think there needs to be an independent investigation, and hopefully the Attorney General and the governor of Indiana, which are conservatives and good folks, will maybe now, after the body cam footage has come out, maybe they'll do a more extensive investigation. I don't know. We're going to have to see. Marlene, did you want to jump on it? Because you had a chance to see it yourself. What was your thoughts?
I wish that I could hear what they were saying too.
Right.
I would like to hear the video, Pam. See the video, the one that your daughter has. I just think it's insane. Too many variables that could have happened.
Yeah.
It's just devastating. It's just devastating.
I know, and we don't really know if the guy was aggressive towards the officer. It certainly didn't look like it from what we could see, and you wonder if he was targeted. You really just don't know. You don't want to condemn a police officer in any respect unless you have evidence that they did wrongdoing. But in this case, and especially just looking at this video, it definitely doesn't look good for the officer. I can assure you of that. So I think there's going to be some type of internal, investigation on that. But let's move on to Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein Files. So last night when I was doing the show, I said that Pam Bondi said she's going to release today part of, not all, but part of these documents. Now, what's interesting is that I covered the Little Black Book, okay? And I covered it on July 26th of 2019. And in that video, I said that the Southern District of New York, coupled with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, was getting ready. This is what I said in 2019. They were getting ready to release the additional 2,000 documents, okay? However, that initial, immediate imminent release is now February 28th, 2025, 6 years later, okay? But again, as I said before, I released the Little Black Book. You have all probably seen the video, right? I'm assuming you've all seen it and heard it. If not, what I will do real briefly is I'll go through it because I have it right here. Let me see here. Is this it? Yeah, it's right here. Certainly not least, there are the names. That's right, the names in Epstein's secret little black book, which contain the personal contact information, addresses, and phone numbers of many of Hollywood and political elites. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to name names. I'm going to give you the names. Now, so there's a little bit of a disclosure. I was even smart back then to say that just because they're in the book, it doesn't mean that they're sexual deviants and pedophiles and criminals. I said, however, it does mean that they weren't just passing someone by on the street. They obviously knew Epstein and knew him pretty well. So I'm going to just fast forward that part and just kind of get to these people that I'm about to name, that they're pedophiles. Sicko, his book. In other words, what I'm trying to say, your phone number and address? Probably not, because you're just these people not saying that they knew about his phone numbers. So you, with Jeffrey Epstein, does not mean that they are guilty of anything. Actor and Trump hater Alec Baldwin, actor Ralph Fiennes, actor Kevin Spacey. Well, he's a subject that's certainly probably a sicko. Actor Griffin Dunn, former Senator Ted Kennedy, David Koch from the infamous Koch brothers. Everyone gave me a problem because I said Koch brothers the other day. Well, I kind of said that for a reason because it rhymes with something else, but we'll leave that alone. Filmmaker Andrew Jarecki, New York Post columnist Richard Johnson. Well, there's a great name in it. Actor and comedian Chris Tucker, former New Mexico Governor Bruce King, former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, Peter Soros, the nephew of George Soros, former Miss Sweden, Dr. Eva Anderson Dubin, convicted rapist Bill Cosby, director Woody Allen, former Prime Minister Tony Blair, co-owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins and Whole Foods supermarket chain, Ron Burkle, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, former Secretary of State John Kerry, Fox News owner Rupert Murdoch, former PBS host Charlie Rose, actor Chris Evans, actress Angie Everhart, actor George Hamilton, author Jeff Hirsch, actor Dustin Hoffman, attorney Howard J. Kaplan, current ambassador to Russia and former governor of Utah, John Huntsman, actor Liz Hurley or Elizabeth Hurley, actress Lauren Hutton, Michael Jackson, singer Mick Jagger, governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. Gee, I wonder why Chris Cuomo doesn't want anybody to talk about Epstein and the associations. Maybe because your brother is in the book? Actor Christopher Lambert, singer from Duran Duran, Simon Le Bon, singer Courtney Love, Hillary's attorney, Cheryl Mills, former comedian Joan Rivers, the Rothschild family, Maria Shriver, former actor Ron Silver, Ivana Trump, believe it or not, Christy Turlington, Marla Maples, former governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Charles Turnbull. That's an interesting one, right? I'm sure Turnbull knew what was going on his little island there, that he was the governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm sure he's very close to Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe he'll even come up in the investigation. Former 60 Minutes host Mike Wallace, former host Barbara Walters, model and actress Veronica Webb, Harvey's brother Bob Weinstein. I didn't see Harvey in there, but we know what he's all about. PR professional Harriet Weintraub, Dr. Horst Westheimer. I can never do that voice, but it's always funny when she talks. Tennis star Serena Williams, Mayor Michael Bloomberg, magician David Blaine. Hopefully he can just make his name disappear from that black book, right? The Bronfman family, which, by the way, has been caught up in the scandal. As a matter of fact, Claire Bronfman, who was a big supporter of Hillary Clinton, went down in the Nexium scandal. Singer Jimmy Buffett. Well, there's not just cheeseburgers there in paradise, is there, Jimmy? Model Naomi Campbell, musician Phil Collins. I'm sure you can hear what's going on in the air tonight. Actress and model Janice Dickinson, the Duke of York, the Duchess of York, designer Tom Ford, and many, many others, which I was trying very hard to pinpoint the names of, and for a lot of reasons I couldn't figure out. So there you have it. Again, not saying that all those people are involved in anything nefarious. I'm not saying that they're dirty. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying, because I'm a truth seeker and a truth teller, is those people were in Epstein's black book. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll be right back. So there it was many years ago, over 6 years ago. I've been at this for a long time. That's just one video that I have. I have multiple videos. I have videos where I exposed actually the FBI going into the island, and there's video footage of the FBI in the island and going through things. I have video of him bringing in cement mixers and taking out the floors, industrial size shredders going to his property at the Virgin Islands and also in New York and in Florida. So I've covered all of this for many, many years. So we're going to start with Little Mystery, and we're going to go backwards. Little Mystery, here's the thing, what I want to ask you in particular. Why do you think that there's been this much of a delay? 6 years, when they were supposed to take this and drop it 6 years ago. Why has it been this long?
The deep state loves to keep their secrets, especially the royal family. The last thing they want is for the world to know what they really are. They will fight tooth and nail, kill anyone and everyone to keep that secret, that they like to rape children, babies, and all kinds of disgusting things.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think the deep state and the administrative state and the globalists and all that, I think they're going to be wrapped up in this. I think there's going to be a lot of those people in there as well. We're going to go backwards. So Jason, you're actually up next. 6 years. I mean, I covered the little black book 6 years ago, and here we are, you know, imminently released as 6 years later. What are your thoughts? Where is it? Jason, you're muted. You're muted, but
I have to agree with Little Mystery.
okay.
I do.
Okay.
They love to cover their secrets and a lot of powerful people. So
Let me ask you this then, because
Yeah.
almost everyone is going to probably say the same thing, that they agree with Little Mystery. I would assume maybe Walter would be a little different. He likes to be the contrarian of the group, but that's okay. Do you think that there's going to be some shocking people? And if so, you want to throw out some names of who you think might be there?
I think the usual suspects between Clinton and what is it, the king's brother
Yeah,
in
Andrew?
England, Andrew. Yeah, and
Andrew.
there's a whole hope. Maybe it's people like Tom Hanks and all the other people in Hollywood that are going to be exposed. More people in politics than what you've named, I can imagine. So yeah, there are a lot of perverts out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Marlene actually just said something about possibly Madonna and Gwen Stefani. I'll let you cut in on that one. Those are some names
No,
you're thinking?
no, I wasn't thinking those. I wasn't thinking.
Well, no, I think Marlene
No.
said that.
Oh, I see.
Marlene, did you say that?
But all possible. Anything.
Lit Mystery.
Oh, Little Mystery sent that. I'm sorry. Okay, I got you. Well, you know what? I mean, that could be too. What about Joe Biden?
Of
What
course,
about Jill? What about Hunter? What about the Biden crime family?
the whole family was there.
I think so. I think we're going to find out that information. Walter, what about you? What are your thoughts here? What names are you thinking that that could be in there?
Oh, I'm thinking it could be up to and including King Barack Hussein, Obama Barry Soetoro. It could be Michelle Big Mike.
Mhm.
the litany of names is endless. Although I'm sure they all had a legitimate business purpose to be on that island. That you know,
To play tennis, right? Tennis
that's
tournaments.
it. To play tennis and watch their chefs drown. But
Yeah, right.
they're,
Exactly.
they're all in on it, and the media's been doing the same thing they do with all big scandals. They ignore it for as long as they can, and then they just start dripping out, drip, 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 so that the public is used to hearing a new name every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, so that when they do finally have to release all the names, the public's tired of it and is willing to move on.
Gotcha. Okay, Pam, you're going to be up next here. So he said a lot of interesting names as well. Could be Barack Obama, Big Mike, so many others. What about you? What other names do you think we might see?
Right. We know Barack Obama's there. We saw pictures of him and Clinton standing in water. And now Jeffrey Prather said that not everyone on the list is going to be named. If they're really high up people, he didn't say Trump, but Biden, they're going to be immune from having their name, released. And then if people are cooperating, anybody who's on the list that's cooperating, any whistleblowers, witnesses, their names will not be released because they'll be, witnesses. And then he mentioned the tennis courts were covered. Maybe there's children's bodies buried under there. And there was a lot of videotape, just much videotape. And so that's not all going to be released either. But they use it to blackmail the people that go there. And also Hugh Hefner's mansion, he taped people also and blackmailed them.
Well, what's interesting is that Pam Bondi said that not only is the details absolutely disgusting and sickening, but also said there's going to be additional prosecutions, not just Ghislaine Maxwell. There's going to be a lot more prosecutions, but she said there's as many as 200 victims. Carl, you're going to be up next, so I'll give you a couple seconds here to unmute. So we're hearing that 200 plus, and remember, this is just phase one. So they're going to drop this thing slowly, and I'm wondering why they're doing that. Is it because maybe they're trying to protect other people, maybe some victims, or is it just so shocking that the American people can't handle it all at once? What are your thoughts, Carl?
Well, it is kind of weird that it took this long, but I wonder, probably Trump didn't have enough people to find out or try to get some of this stuff out in his first time, but now he's got more leverage to get the stuff out this time.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Pam Bondi, he's been friends with for 30 years. He's known Kash Patel for years. See, that's what's interesting. He's had a chance to pick his entire cabinet. This wasn't a situation where I'm brand new. I don't know who to trust in Washington. He knows now who he can and who he cannot trust. So at least at this point, we're not seeing any subversives, right? We're not seeing any leaks or anything like that. And we probably won't because A, he was smart enough not to, use the GSO or whatever it is, the Government Accountability Office, GAO, sorry. And they usually set up, and through the State Department, they set up, oh, here you go. Here's all your transition team people, and we'll monitor this, and then wink, wink. Yeah, and then they embed somebody in there, right? That's why Comey's in big trouble, because he admitted, not only just in his book, but he admitted on camera. Remember, they said, how did they get in there? And he goes, I sent them in, right? That's video. That's why Kash Patel is going after the low-hanging fruit. And there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. I mean, there's Robert Mueller, there's Comey, there's Rod Rosenstein, there's Andrew McCabe, there's Peter Strzok, there's Lisa Page, there's Bruce Orr, there's Nellie Orr, there's Fusion GPS, there's Christopher Steele. I mean, the list is endless. And I think he's going to be smart. And I think he's going to go after the people in the beginning of it all because he was there. He watched it all. He knew it all. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. And I think there's a lot of people right now that are really going to not have a good night's sleep tonight because they're really going to be worried. Glenn, you are up next. What names do you think we're going to see from the additional releases?
Well, Carl had something to say there just before he called me. Yes.
I wonder if any of the current Democrats have their names there, like a whole pencil neck.
Of course.
I knew you were going to say that, which is why I was prepared. Okay. Yes, it could be shift for brains as well.
Yeah.
That's certainly a possibility. Go ahead, Glenn.
Well, I think that there's more than just the Democrats. I'm sure that there's a lot of the Republicans that are in on that too. Now, her just easing into the stew pot the way that she's doing, maybe she's getting the ones that they don't really have anything on, but just giving them a chance to come forward with what they know. So now, you give us, and then because I'm almost sure that if you witness something like that, you're an accessory to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not as much
Right.
trouble, but you're an accessory to the crime. So she may be saying, we know you were there, we know what you seen, help us out, or we're going to just throw you head first right into the stew pot to boiling water.
Gotcha. Okay.
That could
So
be right, or yeah.
Gail, you're up next, and then we're going to finish the segment with Taz. So Gail, what names do you think we're going to see other than the ones that I was brave enough to go through and put out publicly 6 years ago?
Let me think. I think probably some Congress people, I bet you are in there. And I bet you
Could be Swallows well, for all we know. We know what a scumbag he is, right?
I wouldn't doubt it. And also, in the Biden administration, I'm sure there's a few there too. This is why they're trying to take care of them first. The Democrats probably and holding things up, I think, for that reason. I'm falling asleep. I'm so
Yeah. Okay. Well,
sorry.
I understand. It's a little bit late. Jeff, what about you? What do you think? You've been able to hear about this and kind of follow this, from a distance, but you're in tune with everything going on, and you've been watching my show for years. So what do you think? What kind of names do you think they're going to pop up?
Oh, look, what kind of names? A couple of things come to mind. One of them is the people who protest the most usually have the most to lose.
Okay, fair enough.
And look, I think the name list is going to be really, really big. Oh, geez, I had it all worked out in my mind as well. But look, no surprises, and look, there are a lot of people from this country that have also been involved in one way or another. And I mean, look at the Murdoch family.
Well, yeah, Rupert was one of the names that I actually said.
Yep, and now he's handed everything over to Lachlan. I mean, they're very heavily involved in casinos as well as everything else, and we all know how things work in casinos. Look, it's very political, very left wing, very.
Yeah, I'd be really careful if I was Rupert Murdoch to not have dinner or a meal with Lachlan or one of his kids, especially if they cook the meal, if you know what I mean. They are waiting for the old man to kick so that they can turn Fox News into MSLSD.
They're going to lose what good reporters they have left. I'm sure Jesse and all those they're going to leave, and there won't be anything left of Fox.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, Murdoch still has a lot of influence here. He's been involved with a lot of dirty people in Australia. He really has. Mind you, there are plenty of politicians. I mean, slightly off topic, but I mean, you go down back to the Russia gate. If you all recall, a lot of that was information passed on first or second hand from current and former Australian MPs.
Yeah.
Who have a terrible reputation of dressing up as women and all sorts of stuff. Look, the whole world is rotten, mate.
I think there's going to be a lot of other people in Australia, in Germany, in the UK, I think in Canada, I think there could be premiers in, people in Canada. But I think
Yep.
what everyone is missing, which I'm going to go out and say publicly, is why did it take 6 years? Well, obviously, number one, because you didn't have anyone with balls like President Trump to do this. But let's look past that. What about the fact that there could be FBI agents, CIA agents, NSA
Yep.
agents? Look at the sick, disgusting, twisted, depraved things that we just learned from the NSA scandal. You mean to tell me they're going to say that there's no FBI or CIA agents in there? I'm telling you right now, there's probably going to be. What? Why else would they have stonewalled it for this many years? National security? Of course not. You know what I mean? So I think I think that there's going to be a lot of Intel officials that have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein. I truly, truly think that's the case. And if it's true that this administration believes that nobody is above the law, then those names will come out and everybody will be prosecuted, even if they are part of the Intel community. We will have to wait and see. Before I wrap up tonight, the left is planning tomorrow to have some type of, I don't know, stop doing everything, stop buying things. Here, I have the thing right here. My wife sent it to me here. So it's pretty funny that they actually think that they have power. So it looks like the race baiting poverty pimp, Al Sharpton, as I like to call him, is planning a boycott for Friday. And he's basically saying, do not make any purchases. Don't shop online. Don't shop in stores. Don't go to Amazon. Don't go to Walmart. Don't go to Best Buy. Don't go to McDonald's. Don't fill up your car. Don't use your credit cards. Blah, 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 blah. So I have about maybe a little less than a quarter of a tank. I'm purposely going to fill it up tomorrow. I'm going to order some extra Trump stuff and Trump gear tomorrow on Amazon. Might even get a couple of hats. I do like that new one that says Trump was right on everything. It's kind of cool. And so I just want to make sure that anyone watching this or is going to be watching this, I encourage you to spend some money tomorrow. Okay? You don't have to go out and, break the bank, but go out there and spend some money so we can show that we are more powerful than them and that none of their boycotts are ever going to work on us, because you know what? They can't work on us. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on that last thing. And the other thing, just before we go, the book is been reduced to $25.50, the hardcover copy, and the digital copy is now around $12. So if anyone hasn't gotten it or they want to get it, now is a good time to pick up Preserving Liberty on Amazon. Those are all my thoughts for this evening. I can't wait to hear all of yours. We'll see you next time. God bless.